Okay, 10 minutes, here we go.
Alright, good morning. My name is Kenny.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Jake.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Richard.
I'm Bruce.
Hands out of pockets, unfolded arms, good to go. All right.
So today we're going to go over our project plan presentation for Interlab, which is our CSAR project, which is an multi-interactive platform for language display. Jordan's going to go over our common goals in order to achieve this, make this project more successful.
So our main project goal is to make Interlab a multimedia platform that's helpful for all users of various languages. And in order to kind of complete this project, we're going to break it down into 3 phases. Our first phase is just basically doing information research, and we're going to have that completed by our next client meeting on February 28th. And then the second phase is going to be developing a strategy, which we're going to try to have completed by March 14th. And then the third phase is our formal presentation with our client, and that's going to be April 11th. So to inform us of our stakeholders, we're going to have Jake start off with our primary stakeholders. Oh, I'm sorry. So actually, Kenny's going to share our work breakdown structure with us first.
So our first phase is our information research. We broke down what everyone needs to do, due dates. So for our information research, we're going to go over Interlab's needs, Interlab's problems. Hopefully by the 28th we'll have everything completed. And then so the strategy development, we're going to use our SWOT analysis from management and our research from information research to develop a final draft for our client. The last deliverable is going to be due on the April 11th, where we're going to tie everything together, develop a final strategy in order to present to our client to make sure everything's in order. And now I'm going to bring it over to Jake with our stakeholders.
Sweet. So we're going to break it down into primary stakeholders and secondary stakeholders. First, the primary, we have the owner, which is Jaime, employees and local businesses with international clients or departments. So the reason why Jaime is our owner and the primary stakeholder is he's the investor in Interlab. He put his own time and money into this project. He makes all the final decisions and suggestions that we give to him. And then he's given us his idea of his target market, which would be healthcare industry and the legal industry. So whether we, add other opinions of hey, maybe we should target this market, that's his decision to if he would like to do that or not. The employees are going to be affected because since it's something new, he's looking for programmers to develop smartphone apps and online cloud implementation. So the benefit is since it's a new platform that they can have the chance to run with it. The third primary stakeholder would be local businesses with international clients and departments. There are many local businesses that wish to sell their product internationally, but they don't have the means of communication to do so. So with the platform of Interlab, they can accomplish that. There are also businesses that would really benefit from Interlab's interpretation teaching platform. So if they want to do conferences with clients or with other departments that live in another country or with people that prefer it in a different language, it's easy to do different languages up top. So after you've learned a little bit about the primary stakeholders, Richard's going to talk about our secondary stakeholders.
We have identified 2 secondary stakeholders. The first one are future generations. Interlab has the capabilities to help future generations in the aid of learning new languages. And one major issue that Jaime has identified is the language barrier between the grandfather and the parents' generation and their younger generation. Our product Interlab has the capability to eliminate that language barrier between the older generation of international immigrants who don't speak English while their younger generation growing up in the United States speaking English. That problem will be totally solved. And the other secondary stakeholders we can identify are the airports. Specifically, we are using the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport and the Tucson International Airport here. Actually, there are so many international visitors who pays visits to airport yearly and our product, the Interlab, has the potential to dominate that airport market. And I want to mention that both of the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport and Tucson International Airport can attract thousands of international passengers each year. And you can imagine being in an airport other than the ones in your home country can be very stressful because you can't communicate well with the airport staff. Maybe you would miss the flight because of the weakness in the native language. So here at this point, the strength of our product Interlab will be displayed by helping international visitors eliminate that barrier when they pay visits or when they take flights in the airport. Here is Interlab should be a very useful simultaneous bilingual communication platform here for airports. This Bruce.
Alright, like George said, there's 3 phases. For our first phase, our goal is to provide information research, both external research and internal research on Interlab. We provide demographics that would be interested in using Interlab. It could be high-income patrons or low-income patrons. What we're looking at, determine competitors similar to Interlab, and again, maybe the ways of marketing strategies they have. And also determine the markets in Tucson, which is the current company in the Interlab business, which is kind of what Jaime wants to go forward to marketing. And for phase 2, Jordan's going to talk about developing strategies.
Okay, so for phase 2, our goal is really just to develop a strategy. In order to do this, we're going to use the research that we've conducted in phase 1 to narrow down the best way to reach those target demographics, to find ways to approach student programmers on campus who are really interested in what Interlab has to offer and want to get involved. And then we're going to develop a strategy to find alumni who are also interested and want to bring Interlab to the Eller community. And now Ashley is going to share with us phase 3.
Okay, so phase 3 conducts our final client presentation, which is going to contain all the information we've been doing throughout the semester. And we are going to kind of narrow down what market we think would be most effective for Interlab. And we're going to pretty much develop a business plan for Jaime and present it to him by April 10th. But before that, we want to do a rough draft so we have enough time to make final little nitpicky decisions. And we're going to finish that by April 5th. And I know we threw a lot of information at you, so now we're going to give this time for questions.
Okay, so that was 7 minutes. Neither a good nor bad thing. It's always better to finish earlier than later. But tell me about. All right. There are a few things here that I think I'd like some more explanation on, specifically with the impact that you expect to have on the organization. What impact will this project have on Interlab and on the product that he is launching here? What's your goal with that respect?
The goal in that respect is to help people that are trying to learn English in this country, because English is a very hard language, to actually learn the English easier. It's pretty much our goal.
So let's zero in. So that's the goal for the project. That's the problem you're solving for Jaime and for Interlab, right? Because I was missing in the very beginning context, purpose, bottom line. You went right through that into your content, so I didn't have a sense from the very beginning of what the problem is you're trying to solve for Interlab. So you are. So again, tell me again, what's the problem you're trying to solve for Interlab?
Well, I think the problem we're trying to solve is to find a market that would be useful for Interlab, which we stated in our secondary stakeholders is that we want to try to reach the transportation industry, which most importantly airports, because I had an idea where a lot of international visitors enter different type of airports, and instead of having to wait for their language to pop up on the speakers, they can have Interlab have all languages side by side, or for them to be able to interpret it a lot faster when they need it, instead of having to wait.
Mm-hmm. So to make this project successful, what do you need to have happen? Because one of the things I want you to discuss is the resource needs. What, in terms of budgeting, in terms of time, what do you need to have to get this project underway?
Well, one of the things that Jaime told us is that we didn't need to worry about the budget because we weren't going to be part of that issue for him, because it's basically he just wanted us to develop a marketing strategy for him, not any type of price outline for him, because we wouldn't know how to do that based on what he wanted us to do.
Mhm.
Because at our client meeting, he told us that what he wanted was just a strategy, that we weren't, even though it said on our project scope that we needed a price outline, price strategy, he said that we didn't need to worry about that
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
Yeah, he said price didn't matter.
Yeah, price didn't matter.
Price doesn't matter. So he's not sensitive to the budget at all. But what about time? What about, because you as a team, your most valuable resource is your time, because you're
Yeah.
strapped for time. So in your work plan that you have going forward, how much time is this going to take?
Well, I'm gonna go back to my work breakdown structure real quick. We broke down every time, like all the durations we need. So for our information research, we set aside 7 days for research, and then we set aside 7 days to find the needs of InterLab, which is really important to us, and then problems we set aside 5 days. So in total, like 16 days, 16. Yeah, and then we broke down strategy development, how we're gonna have that done. We broke down our final rule in order to make sure we allocate enough time to each phase in order to maximize success.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in between that, he wants to talk to us like every 2 weeks or so. So even though we broke that down, like when we talk to him, so we know we're not wasting time, so if we're all both like on the same track, like we're all thinking.
Mhm.
So that'll also help with the time constraints.
So I appreciate how you've broken this down. I think you did a nice job with your work breakdown structure and the actual breaking into phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. It sounds to me like it's realistic. You have a good plan. It's realistic. That all the members of your team looks like you're pulling your weight. Everybody on the team here. How realistic is this plan from your perspective? Where do you think this might fall apart? What are the weaknesses? I guess is another way to think about it.
I think the weaknesses lie in trying to find InterLab's problems because we don't really have the necessary access to like InterLab program itself. We're only able to look at InterLab based on our first meeting with him because we're not allowed to log on to InterLab and go through all the technical issues of InterLab. We're only allowed to look at the marketing problems of InterLab. But in order to find marketing issues in InterLab, we need to also find the technical issues that revolve around InterLab itself.
So what's your plan then for dealing with that? Because it sounds to me like you're saying you need more access to InterLab to make it, to be able to understand it.
Well, I think from what we got from the first meeting, we can see that this is still in a prototype stage. So right now, the things that we see as technical problems are definitely things that he's probably still working on. But I think that from right now, like we can just go based off of what we saw. It would be nice to have more access, but I think that the needs or issues that we see right now are things that he's still working out.
Mm-hmm.
So we can present them to him as problems or whatever, but he's still probably in the process of working on them.
So when you talk about wanting to have more access to them, so I take that's a good point. But when you talk about the access that you want to have to InterLab, what are you hoping to get out of that? What are you trying to learn from that? Because if you need more access to it to be able to do your work, that's something that you should broach with him sooner than later. Right? What are you trying to learn? What do you hope to learn from that access?
From accessing InterLab? Well, like I said earlier, like in order to find problems within his market or his market strategy so far, we need to be able to look at what's wrong with the product itself. Because if we don't know what's wrong with the product itself, we can't compare it to other competitors that are in the market itself.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, on top of that, I don't think we know exactly everything InterLab can do, and so it's hard to find the perfect market if we don't know exactly all that it can do. Because when he showed us, he said, yeah, I want it to be able to do this, but I mean, will it won't become exactly what it's going to do? So if we have an idea of what he wants, we're going to target that, but if that doesn't happen, then they're going to be upset that we said, hey, InterLab can do this, you need it and it doesn't do it. So that's also a problem.
So you're dealing with a lot of the problems that are inherent in a product development pipeline in the earlier stages of it. Is that you're not really sure what you're building until you start getting some feedback from customers, and a lot of companies do this. They build a product in partnership with customers and a lot of different inputs from customers. So you got that weird circular reference that you're dealing with all the time, the chicken and egg thing that we've talked about. But it's important. We will talk about persuasive strategy coming up soon. But it sounds to me like you're building a case to have at least another run through of InterLab so that you fully understand it before you can look for where it could apply or not apply.
And I feel like the problem like so far like we're facing is that Jaime, he only knows the technical aspect of what he wants to create, and he doesn't know how to compare that to like other products or what he needs to add to it. And that's why we're here to give him strategies in order to make different changes in InterLab in order to make it more successful and useful in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And he's more targeted to nonprofits, so that's why we want to target a profit side of InterLab itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's difficult if you don't know what market you're targeting, because all those different products out there, like Rosetta Stone and stuff like that, they're a profit-based business. They know what everyone needs, and they incorporated that into their product. And that's what Jaime needs us to do: find different things that customers needs in order to incorporate into his product itself.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like the things you're dealing with right now are common with. Do you guys ever heard of tech transfer, technology transfer out of university? So basically, it's where you have university professors, researchers, those kinds of people, teams of researchers that develop products. Maybe you have the inventor types and that kind of thing to develop these products and solutions of all different kinds, software, hardware, whatever. And then what the university does is it licenses those out to companies that can take them and actually commercialize them. So it's looking to see the kind of work that you are all doing right now for Jaime is very similar. So you may consider looking at technology transfer at the university, how that process works. Don't get bogged down in the weeds with intellectual property and that kind of stuff, but try to see what that process is like and understand what are the kind of questions you need to answer. It sounds like you're on the right track here, but there's still some work you have to do to really understand your product and see how that might apply. As far as let's get to feedback on the presentation itself. As far as some general stuff, and I'll post more detailed notes up on your team's page. In the beginning, you jumped right into your content before really giving me an introduction. You went around and introduced yourselves, and that's good. But tell me right off the bat, what is InterLab? What's going on? And again, I'm playing the role of your clients. You got to figure out what the context is, and you can set that context up to be this very issue that we need to know more about InterLab before we can really know how to tailor the rest of our plan and make sure we're asking the right questions and doing the right kind of research. You can set up that context however you want to. Then the clear purpose statement, the purpose of this presentation is to blank, set up our plan for the next number of weeks to get this thing done. And the bottom line is the most important thing you want me to know. So you got to make sure you put that in the introduction. That's a big part of the grade for this thing. Moving through into the content itself, you did, especially for our first presentation, we'll keep on working on this stuff, but you did a decent job with transitions between the speakers. I got the sense that you had rehearsed this thing as a team, and so if you didn't, don't tell me, but if you did, good job. I got the sense that you knew more or less who was coming up next, and you could kind of link back to each other and introduce the next speaker, so that's very good. Just watch out for those name-based transitions. It's really tempting to want to say the person's name, and it's not necessarily a bad thing to say the person's name, but focus on the content that's coming up. How does what is coming up relate to what I've just talked about and relate to our bottom line, right? So the fact that you didn't have that identified clearly in the beginning made it seem at times like you were just going through the paces and not really linking back to the bottom line, which is, hey, we really need access to InterLab to figure this thing out more, or that this whole thing, the success of this project, hinges on what you talked about earlier. On I forget the was it task A, the informational research meeting?
Yeah.
Right. Whatever that is, right? This first phase. So make it clear to me so I understand, and you guys can all be supporting that point as you go through. Overall, you had good knowledge of your content. I like the fact that you all stepped forward. The body language is pretty good overall. you all stepped forward to engage your audience when you spoke. Some of you were more tied to your slides than others, looking back at your slides quite a bit. Others didn't look back quite as much. But I think this is a solid place for you to start your presentations for the semester, and we'll build up from here. Okay, but just remember the basics. In the very beginning, introduction, context, purpose, bottom line before you do anything else, right? And then wrap it up at the end. Do you have any, we've got 5 minutes left. Do you have any questions for me? How's your research going so far? It looks like team dynamics. I know one of the big things that Kenny's been sensitive to is as a super driver type, that he's going to steamroll people. But it seems like you're sharing Q&A quite a bit, which is what I look for. That you're sharing the answers in the Q&A part. Seems like you're gelling pretty well as a team and you're working through this stuff.
I feel like we're really efficient with our time. Like we all have really difficult classes going on, but we make sure that when we meet, we get things done. There isn't any there isn't any like time wasted because I know like everybody has different classes that they need to get through with, and like this class is really important, but we make sure our time is efficient when we do meet up for stuff like that.
Yeah, you seem like you're a high-performing team, and the reason that I'm hammering down on this issue of what could throw you off right now is identify that stuff now. If you really, really need to see Interlab again, then maybe make sure that that's an agenda item for this upcoming meeting that you have with Jaime. Make sure you answer, even if you think they're stupid questions, answer those basic questions in your own mind so that you know then how to. But you're going to have to navigate a lot of ambiguity with this project because you're kind of developing it as you learn about it and as you figure out what it needs to have. So I just don't want to see you frustrated later on spinning your wheels because you don't really understand the product yet.
It just makes it difficult that like we're the first group to go at it, so we don't know how to like approach it a certain way. That's our weakness right there. Like, we don't know where to start off. Like especially Jaime, like we just know that he wants the marketing strategy, and we don't know like what else we're supposed to do for him in the different cases. Like we're supposed to help him like recruit certain like individuals to help him do the technical aspect of it also. But we don't know where to start off with that either.
Well, make sure all this stuff is within the scope
Yeah.
that was in the
Yeah.
scope, right? But there's only so much recruitment you can actually do.
Yeah, and like we are also students at the same time, so like you know what I mean, like it's
Well, stick to the scope, right?
Yeah,
But one of the big things you can do to help him recruit people to be interested in is defining what this thing is and how to apply it, and that's how you get people interested. So help him put that into words, help him have a strategy for what he wants to do, and that'll make it more attractive for people to work on it. Okay, so I will get the grades and feedback up probably not till Wednesday evening because I've got to wait for Wednesday's teams to present as well. But I think that's a solid first start for presentations. I think you guys are off.